Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into SpaceX? We're going to be looking at how SpaceX makes its billions.
That's right.
We always see those incredible Starship launches and those Falcon 9s landing.
Yeah.
But how does that translate into cold, hard cash?
Yeah. Well, it's a fascinating story.
We've got a ton of YouTube videos and some articles to help us out.
Okay.
And believe me, some of this stuff is out of this world.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know SpaceX is shooting for the stars, literally.
Mm-hmm.
But how do they actually make their money?
Right.
And are there any scandals?
Yeah.
We're going to find out right now.
I think one of the most important things to understand about SpaceX is that they figured out how to reuse rockets,
Oh, yeah.
which is one of the biggest expenses in spaceflight.
Right.
Imagine throwing away a jumbo jet after one flight.
Wow.
That's kind of what traditional space agencies were doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how does SpaceX's reusability model work?
So their Falcon 9 rocket is the workhorse. The first stage with the big engines that does the heavy lifting actually comes back and lands on Earth.
Oh, wow.
It separates from the payload
That's amazing.
and then lands.
Like a boomerang.
Kind of, yeah.
So how much money does that actually save them?
Okay, so launching a payload with the old space shuttle program could cost over $1 billion.
Oh, my gosh.
A Falcon 9 launch is estimated to be around $62 million for commercial customers.
Wow. That's still a lot.
It is a lot.
But it's way less than $1 billion.
Yeah, way less.
So I'm starting to understand how companies are lining up to use SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where a big chunk of their revenue comes from.
Right.
Around 60% are commercial launches.
About that, yeah. And then the remaining 40% are government agencies like NASA.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I heard that the CEO of Ariane Group,
Mm-hmm.
a European launch provider,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't too happy about SpaceX's reusable rockets.
Yeah.
Something about job losses.
Well, yeah, he's not wrong to be concerned. SpaceX's success is shaking up the whole industry.
Interesting.
Reusable rockets mean we need fewer launches,
Yeah.
which impacts jobs at those traditional launch providers.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like SpaceX is the rebel,
Yeah. You could say that.
shaking things up in the industry,
That's one way to put it.
forcing the other companies to adapt.
Right. And they're not just relying on the Falcon 9.
Oh, yeah.
They have a whole family of Falcon rockets.
Like the Falcon Heavy?
Yes.
I love those videos online where it launches
Yeah.
and then those boosters land back on Earth at the same time.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's magical.
It's a sight to see.
But if they're undercutting everyone on price,
Right.
how are these traditional companies like the United Launch Alliance,
Okay.
the Boeing-Lockheed Martin joint venture,
Yeah.
how are they staying in business?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And even ULA has admitted they can't match SpaceX's prices.
Oh, wow.
Part of it is NASA switched from cost-plus contracts to fixed-price contracts.
Okay, so can you break that down for me a little bit?
Sure.
I don't understand what that means.
Okay, so cost-plus.
Yeah.
The companies were basically reimbursed for whatever they spent plus a profit margin.
Okay.
So that didn't really encourage efficiency,
Yeah.
fixed price.
Right.
They have to stick to a specific price that they bid.
Okay.
So they're watching their pennies now.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's like switching from an open bar to a pre-fixed menu.
I like that analogy.
Right.
So SpaceX, with their reusable rockets and their lean operations,
Yeah.
they're like the kings of budget spaceflight.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Is there a graph or something that shows how much cheaper SpaceX is?
There is, and it's pretty dramatic.
Okay.
Their prices are much lower.
Wow.
So both commercial and government customers are really attracted to that.
Okay, so they've pretty much figured out the launch market.
Yeah.
What about their other ventures?
Right.
Starlink,
Okay.
space tourism?
Mm-hmm.
Those seem like totally different things.
They are, yeah.
How do those fit in?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Let's start with Starlink,
Okay.
because that's where SpaceX is taking advantage of their low launch costs
Right.
to build a new market.
Okay.
They're launching thousands of satellites
Oh.
to create a global internet network.
It's like they're building their own internet empire in space.
Exactly. And they're doing it at a price that traditional internet providers can't match,
Interesting.
especially in remote areas where it's really expensive to lay cables.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
So they're taking their main strength,
Mhm.
cheap launches,
Right.
using it in a completely different market.
Exactly. It's classic disruption.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Mm.
Their subscriber base has just exploded,
Really?
going from about 400,000 to over 1.5 million in just a year.
Oh, wow.
Analysts are saying they could be making $30 billion in revenue by 2025.
That's a lot of internet
Huge
subscription.
lot of internet subscription.
So Starlink is becoming a huge financial success.
yeah, it is.
What about space tourism?
Okay.
Isn't that just for billionaires who want to go to space?
Well, it definitely generates a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
Remember that Japanese billionaire who bought a ticket on Starship
Oh,
to
yeah.
go around the moon?
That was everywhere.
Yeah, publicity like that is priceless.
True.
Yeah.
But can space tourism actually compete financially with Starlink?
Right now, it's a much smaller piece of the pie,
Okay.
but as the cost of spaceflight continues to drop,
Right.
and as more people get comfortable with the idea of going to space, who knows?
You're right. It's hard to predict the future,
Yeah,
especially with a company like SpaceX.
exactly.
Speaking of pushing boundaries,
Okay,
let's talk about Starship,
right.
their most ambitious project.
It is a huge undertaking.
This thing is supposed to carry 100 people to Mars
Yeah,
and travel anywhere on Earth in less than 30 minutes,
right?
I imagine.
It is.
This has got to be a massive project.
Mhm.
Have there been any delays or setbacks?
There have. It's a really complicated vehicle,
Sure.
pushing the limits of engineering and technology.
Oh.
They've spent billions of dollars,
Wow.
about $2 billion in 2023 alone.
Gosh.
But they're moving forward despite the setbacks.
I guess when you're trying to go to Mars,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to hit a few bumps in the road.
Yeah, for sure.
But how much would a ticket on Starship actually cost?
Right.
Is this something regular people can afford?
Well, Elon Musk has said that he wants to make it so anyone who wants to go to Mars can go.
Oh, wow.
He's even given a price of $20,000 per person.
$20,000 to go to Mars.
That's what he said.
That's less than some cruises.
Yeah.
Is that realistic, though?
Well, that's based on his estimate of $2 million for each Starship launch.
Okay.
But remember, this is Elon Musk.
True.
He's known for setting really big goals.
Yeah, and exceeding them.
And kind of exceeding them sometimes.
Sometimes I'm going to stay a little skeptical for now.
Yeah.
But it is amazing to think that Mars could be an actual vacation spot.
Oh, it's pretty crazy.
It really is.
Yeah.
But we can't ignore that SpaceX has also had its share of criticism.
Right.
There have been concerns about their environmental impact
Yeah.
and things I've read about their workplace culture.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just talk about the good stuff.
We can't ignore the bad stuff.
We have to talk about everything.
Exactly.
So let's take a look at the financial side of things.
Okay.
All of this innovation and ambition
Mm-hmm.
that has to be bringing in some big profits.
Right.
What does their financial report card look like?
Yeah. Well, the numbers are pretty amazing.
Oh.
Back in 2012, their revenue was only around $120 million.
Wow.
And now in 2023, they're projected to hit $8 billion.
$8 billion.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Talk about a meteoric rise.
So what's their secret?
Well, government contracts are definitely a big part of it,
Okay.
especially from NASA.
Right.
But don't forget, they also have a ton of commercial clients.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then there's Starlink, which we think is going to be a huge moneymaker.
Yeah, that global internet network.
Exactly.
Seems like everything they're doing is turning to gold.
You could say that.
And investors are definitely noticing.
Oh, yeah.
In July 2023,
Mm-hmm.
SpaceX was valued at $140 billion.
That's right.
That's more than a lot of those big aerospace companies.
It is.
So it's safe to say SpaceX is a financial success story.
Definite.
But no company is perfect.
Right.
What about those criticisms we talked about before?
All right.
What are some of the not-so-good things about SpaceX?
Okay, well, one of the biggest concerns, and this isn't just about SpaceX,
Okay.
but the whole space industry,
Yeah.
is the impact all those launches have on the environment.
Right.
I mean, you see those Falcon 9s taking off,
Wow.
all that smoke and fire.
Yeah.
Can't be great.
Yeah.
Every launch releases a bunch of stuff into the atmosphere.
Like what?
Carbon dioxide and other pollutants.
Okay.
Now it's still way less than other industries.
Yeah.
But as the number of launches keeps going up, it's definitely a concern.
Right. And I've also heard that some environmental groups are worried about SpaceX's launch sites,
Yeah.
the impact they're having on the ecosystems around them,
Mm-hmm.
like that whole thing with the Boca Chica launch site in
Yeah.
Texas.
Right. There were concerns about the impact on wildlife habitats and the coastal ecosystems.
Right.
SpaceX says they're trying to minimize their impact.
Right.
But it's a big debate.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
On the one hand, we have all this amazing potential for space exploration,
Right.
but we also have to protect our planet.
It's a tough balance.
It's hard to find that balance.
Yeah,
But it's super important
for sure.
if we want a sustainable space industry.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the environment.
Right.
There have also been issues raised about SpaceX's workplace culture.
Yeah.
I read some stuff about demanding work schedules.
Yeah.
It's just a high-pressure environment.
Right. There have been reports of employees having to work really long hours.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure to meet those deadlines. It
Right.
can definitely lead to burnout
Yeah.
for some people.
It's important to remember
Mm-hmm.
that even the most innovative companies
Yeah,
need to take care of their employees.
absolutely.
We shouldn't have to sacrifice people's well-being
Right.
just to explore space.
For sure.
So we've talked about all the amazing things SpaceX has done
Yeah.
and also some of the challenges they're facing.
Right.
But one thing's for sure, they are definitely shaking up the space industry.
They are.
So who are some of the other companies out there
Yeah.
trying to get a piece of that space pie?
Well, SpaceX might be the big name right now,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the only ones in this new space race.
Oh, really?
Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin are a big contender.
Oh, yeah. Blue Origin.
Mm-hmm.
I love those New Shepard launches
Yeah.
with the vertical landing.
They are quite something.
Are they mostly focused on space tourism?
Well, they are interested in that, but they also want to compete with SpaceX on launching satellites.
Oh, wow.
They're working on a heavy lift rocket
Okay.
called New Glenn.
New Glenn.
Yeah, it's designed to go up against Falcon Heavy
Wow.
and even Starship.
So it's like a billionaire space race.
Yeah, kind of like a real-life Star Trek episode.
That's amazing.
But it's not just those two.
Okay.
There are other companies entering the scene.
Really?
Yeah, each with their own approach.
Like who?
Well, there's Rocket Lab.
Okay.
They specialize in launching small satellites,
Okay.
kind of like a boutique space delivery service.
I like that.
They're really good at what they do.
Okay.
Super cost-effective and reliable.
So it's like the difference between hiring a moving van versus a pickup truck.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just need a small package delivery.
Right. And then you've got companies like Virgin Galactic,
Okay.
focusing on suborbital space tourism.
Right.
You know, those quick trips to the edge of space.
Yeah.
And then there's Astra. They're building a small mobile launch platform.
Interesting.
So it's making space access even more flexible.
It really seems like the space industry is becoming more diverse.
It is.
It's not just about those big government agencies anymore.
Nope.
It's exciting.
It is a really exciting time.
But with all this activity up in space,
Yeah.
are we worried about it getting too crowded?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The more we launch up there,
Yeah.
the bigger the problem of space debris becomes.
Space debris.
Yeah. You know, all that junk orbiting Earth.
Like old rocket parts and stuff?
Exactly.
Okay.
And all that stuff is dangerous.
Oh,
Well, even small pieces can cause a lot of damage
No way.
if they hit something at high speed.
that's scary.
It's like a giant game of cosmic bumper cars.
But with way higher stakes.
Exactly.
So we need to figure out how to manage all this traffic in space
We do.
as more and more players enter the game.
Yeah.
It's like the Wild West up there.
Yeah.
We need some rules.
Yeah.
We need international cooperation.
to prevent collisions.
Right.
And make sure everyone's using space responsibly.
It's not just about the technology.
No.
It's also about governing space properly.
Absolutely.
So lots to think about,
There is.
both the good and the bad.
Yeah. It's a complex situation.
But SpaceX is a great example
Mm-hmm.
of how one company can completely change an entire industry.
Definitely.
You've given us a lot to ponder today.
They have.
But there's one more thing about SpaceX
Okay.
that we haven't even talked about yet.
What's that?
And it's probably the most audacious thing they're doing.
Oh, wow.
They're not just trying to change space travel.
Mm-hmm.
They want to change how we travel here on Earth.
Totally.
Wait,
What? Yeah.
get ready for this.
Okay.
SpaceX wants to use Starship,
Uh-huh.
their Mars spaceship,
Yeah.
to offer point-to-point travel here on Earth.
Okay, now I'm really confused.
I know it sounds crazy.
Is they're going to build some kind of supersonic jet with rocket engines.
Even crazier than that.
They want to launch people into space
Okay.
on Starship
Yeah.
and then land them on the other side of the world.
Wait, so you're saying they want to send people to space
Yeah.
just to get them from, like, New York to Tokyo?
Yeah.
Isn't that a little overkill?
It sounds crazy.
It does.
But they're already working on making space travel really fast and reusable,
Yeah, for Mars.
right?
Yeah.
So why not use that same technology
Okay.
to make travel time shorter here on Earth?
Okay, so instead of flying across the Atlantic,
Great.
I would get on Starship,
Yeah,
blast off into space,
pretty much.
reach the edge of space,
Mm-hmm.
and then glide down to my destination.
Exactly. It wouldn't be a full orbit,
Okay,
just a quick trip up and then back down.
that sounds terrifying.
It would be quite a ride,
But also kind of awesome.
right?
But wouldn't it be super expensive?
Well, that's where SpaceX's focus on low costs comes in.
Okay.
Their whole business model is about making space travel affordable
Yeah.
If they can get the cost of Starship down, like they did with Falcon 9, point-to-point travel could actually be cheaper than a long flight.
Interesting.
Especially when you think about all the time you'd save.
You're right. Time is money.
Exactly.
But what about the environment?
Oh.
Wouldn't all those launches be bad?
Well, SpaceX says Starship will be way cleaner than airplanes.
Oh, really?
They're going to use methane,
Okay.
which is a lot better than jet fuel.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
But I'm still a little freaked out about being launched into space
Yeah.
just to get to my vacation.
I get it.
Can you imagine those G-forces?
It would be like the craziest roller coaster you've ever been on.
SpaceX better have some good barf bags.
I'm sure they will.
Maybe with their logo on them.
Right.
It's crazy to think we might be commuting in spaceships one day.
I know.
It's like something out of a movie.
It really is.
It's been amazing learning about SpaceX.
Yeah.
Their finances, their innovations,
Right.
the controversies,
Yeah.
and their big plans for the future.
They've definitely given us a lot to think about.
They really have.
It's going to be exciting to see what they come up with next.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into SpaceX.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed the ride and learned some cool stuff about this company.
Yeah, and I'll leave you with this.
All right.
Keep looking up at the stars.
I will.
Because the future of space travel and maybe even Earth travel
Wow.
is being shaped right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring
And
and keep learning.
that's right.